Hey guys, so this video is going to be kind of long, but I just wanted to do a quick trip overview in case it's helpful to anybody that is planning a vacation. So our first trip was to Puerto Vallarta, which is not it's, you know, like a new or unfounded type of spot. It's a very touristy destination. I'm just gonna go over the overview. I kind of took notes. So I don't think that Vallarta is a cheap trip, but it's certainly not an expensive trip. I would say that if you want the trip planned out for you and you want to get a package deal with your flight and your hotel, it should probably cost you, if you're going lower end, $1,500 or less for the whole thing. And that's if you really budget wisely, and you probably could do it for cheaper if you looked around a little bit. So about $700 per person is what I would say. And the reason why I don't think that that's super inexpensive is because I did Puerto Rico, condo on the beach, flight, everything for $700, not counting the food, but just for 2 people, and the condo on the beach was $700. So for me, and just thinking about most people's budget, is probably like a medium-sized trip. This one we chose to go a little bit more rustic, so we spent most of our money on airfare, which we got a better deal, you know, to upgrade, because we were able to get a direct flight. So we spent most of our money on airfare, and then as far as the accommodations, we went a little bit more rustic. So the airport is a very small airport. When you first, you know, get off the plane, we did carry-on only, which to me saved tremendous time. We were able to get our bags, get off the plane, go. We hired a car. You don't have to do that. The only reason why I wanted to do it is because for me, sometimes it's all about convenience for me. It's all about not having to try and get a taxi, which is not that hard or expensive. Or, you know, they have a lot of hecklers and timeshare people, blah, blah, blah. Just to kind of get through all that mess and look and see somebody that has your name on a sign ready to go pick you up with beer. Yeah, I think they have beers for us. That was just convenient in itself. So we hired a car service to make it a little bit more smooth. You do not have to do that. And we ended up staying in Old Town. When you look for places to stay, there's going to be the resort places, and then there's going to be what they call the romantic zone, or real Puerto Vallarta. The experience at the resorts that are more north of the Old Town are going to be a little bit more expensive, but I was still able to find them for not too much more expensive. So don't let that deter you. If you are a resort person, then you can definitely try and plan that in your budget. So we stayed at a quaint little hotel. I think for the whole, we were there for a week. We paid like $340 for the whole week. The room was very basic. It did have air conditioning. It was clean. The toiletries were basic, so if you're into, like, you know, frilly toiletries, bring your own toiletries. It's more of a family-run hotel, so the room that we got, we couldn't get a room with a bigger bed. We had a room with more like a full-size bed and then a twin-size bed. So we stayed on the full-size bed, and then, you know, we just used the twin-size bed just to put other stuff in, because the rooms are small. There's not like a lounge chair or that type of thing. If you don't plan on staying in your room, then it's a perfect room. The beds are hard, but that is typical when you go to most foreign places. Their beds aren't as soft as ours. So the beds were hard, but I found that we slept better. Our room was dark, but, you know, I think they have, depending on where and when you get there, there's rooms that are more into sunlight. The place had a pool. It had a rooftop where you could overlook the busy street and see people walking up and down and just kind of people watch. It had a nice pastry shop across the street. We could walk to the beach in less than 5 minutes. It had a restaurant attached that served breakfast, and I think it would stay open till around 2:30, so you could have breakfast and lunch. It was a very, very convenient location, and even though it was cheaper and rustic, I would recommend it in a heartbeat. So if you guys are interested in specifically what we, you know, where we stayed or whatever like that, PM me, and then I'll just give out the information then. So when we got there, we put our bags in our room, you know, we kind of checked in, and we immediately were able to walk to the beach. There's various like restaurants along the boardwalk, and along the boardwalk you just pay for a pitcher of beer. I think it's like 100 pesos or something like that for 6 beers, and you can just sit in the chair and you could just people watch. Now the thing that I want to reiterate about going to this side of Puerto Vallarta versus the resort side. I didn't stay at the resort side, so I don't know how it is. But you guys know that I have traveled to a lot of places, and I have traveled to a lot of places where people have hardly any money, and I have never ever been heckled so much in my life as I was on that beach. I mean, you couldn't even finish a conversation without somebody trying to sell you something or offer you something, and it was just, if you want a relaxing time on the beach, you're not gonna get it there. You're gonna get some people watching, and it's fun, but if you just want to relax, lay there and have nobody talk to you or whatever, go to the resort, because I have just never been bothered so much in my life as I was on that beach. So we got some beers, and then they gave us chips and salsa, and then I think we ordered like after we had sat there for a little while, we ordered some sort of food. We mainly ate a lot of seafood. If you want to know specific restaurants, just let me know and I'll try to remember them. We kind of just went on a whim, so I don't remember off the top of my head, but I can try for you. So that's all we did the first day. And then the second day, we you know, we did this tour where it takes you around to all the street carts and everything, which I thought was really helpful to do as soon as you get there. That way, if you're on a budget, you know what places that you can go back to, and it takes you to various food carts and where locals eat, and you get to kind of walk around the neighborhood. This all happened in Old Town, so if you stay on the resort side, you're gonna have to take a taxi to get to most of the tours like this. We didn't get sick. The food was great. Made a lot of seafood based dishes, of course. You could probably do this on your own and not even go on a tour if you're adventurous and you just walk up to street carts, because they're everywhere and you really don't need anybody to show you. You just look for places where you see a lot of people eating. If you don't see anybody eating there, no local people or tourists, chances are you probably shouldn't eat there. But if you do see people out eating and it's pretty popular, then chances are that's where you can go. And that's how you, I think if you were going to be on a budget, that would be the way that I would eat. And then the other thing that we did that was cheap is they have these little rotisserie chicken places where you can get like a whole rotisserie chicken and some rice and some potatoes. Oh, it was so good. But it was like 100 what is it, pesos, so that's pretty cheap, and that could last you, depending on how much you eat, a day or two. And the hotel we stayed at didn't have like room service, although I think you could order from that little restaurant, but it had a community kitchen, so you could buy stuff from the grocery store and cook it there. You could put your leftovers in the refrigerator. You could, you know, rent a refrigerator in your room. It didn't have one in your room, blah blah blah. Anyway, just let me know if you want to know more about that. So And I was gonna say, they do feed you a lot on the food tour, but we went ahead and ate breakfast anyway. We're greedy, so we ate breakfast at the little restaurant in the hotel. It's a basic breakfast, kind of like a Denny's breakfast, I would say. And then we went to the tour. After the tour, what did we do? I think we just went to the beach. The third day, literally, we slept all day. It was like shocking. We just slept all day. That was our anniversary day, and it wasn't like we felt like we wasted the day away. It was just so quiet, dark, and relaxing that we slept all day. And I think we woke up about maybe 10 or 11 at night, and we were still able to go out and find a place to eat with no problem. Now, this restaurant I do remember because I went back twice, because they have this red snapper fillet that I really loved. It was they prepared it with garlic, and the service was great. It was a little bit more pricey compared to the other restaurants we went to, and it's called, I think, the Blue Shrimp. So anyway, after we ate, we came back to the hotel, and we had an early morning because then the fourth day I chartered a fishing trip. It was, I think, a 5-hour fishing trip. You can get them, I think, in increments from 2 hours going up, but if you want to really go out deep into the water and try to catch something good, depending on what time of year you go, then you need to go further out. So you need to, you know, allow for time to transport into the middle of the water and to transport back. So 5 hours was about right. I was debating between 4 and 6, but 5 hours was great. And it was just me and my husband, and then a 2-person crew. Very personalized, very nice. We didn't want to, we're not very talkative. Sometimes we can be, sometimes we can't, so they didn't talk too much. Very personable. If you wanted to talk, they were there to talk to you. If you probably wanted to learn, they probably would be more than happy to teach you. But it was just a nice, relaxing day. We left before the sun started to come up, and then we got back before it got really hot. It was easy to get a taxi to the marina that we left from, and they have like a sacred little iguana place. So there was like these iguanas all in the trees and everything, and then they also had these little stands in case you wanted to get some food, like a lunch to take with you on the boat, because usually they'll provide you with like beer, water, that type of thing. But if you want something more substantial, then you need to, you know, bring it with you. The places at the marina, neither I nor my husband liked the food that we bought in our sack lunch. So I would say, if you're gonna be leaving bright and early, maybe you should prepare ahead of time. I would actually, if I knew in hindsight, get something from the grocery store, or get the chicken and the rice and potatoes and stuff and take that. Like I said, the taxi versus hiring a car. If you are the type of person that would rather pay for convenience and you know who you are, then I would, all the way, I would hire, this is what I would do. I would hire a car to take me from the airport to my hotel. But on the way back, I would probably just take a taxi, because on the way, they basically are putting you in a taxi. And by that time, you kind of know your way around, and people aren't heckling you when you're going home. So it made it a little bit more easy. Also, pesos versus ATM. Now, once again, I'm a person of convenience. If I'm going somewhere where I'm not familiar with, I don't rely on the ATM system, because if something happens, if anything goes down, then you are stuck where you are relying on electronic stuff to try to get you through. So we did take pesos with us. I would do it again in a heartbeat. It made everything easy, and actually it probably is not safe if you are not savvy and don't know how to hide your money around, but you know, don't put all your money in one spot. Let's see, safety. I never felt unsafe. The latest that we ever stayed out though was like midnight. The crowd, to me, going, you know, haven't been to other places, was a bit older, in my opinion. I think that, and we went around spring break, so I'm thinking most spring break people go to the resorts. Yeah, it was a lot more older people, more middle age. I would say 30s, 40s and up. If you are a gay male, I didn't quite notice females, but if you're a gay male, there is a big gay presence there. So if you are looking for somewhere to go that's very gay friendly, then that's a great place for you to go. And there's so many like bars and clubs, especially around where we stay, that you can just walk to them and walk back. And we've been seeing, you know, people like walking alone, and we would just sit out and people watch on the rooftop, and we didn't see any instance where somebody looked like they were in danger. Let's see. The location, like I said, the location of the hotel was very, very convenient. If you are not very picky about where you stay, meaning if you understand that where you're going and how the people there live, and you're willing to be an average traveler, then where we stay was a great place. The resorts and the fancier places are not in the area that we were, but like I said, taxis were readily available. So if you wanted to do the resort and then come down a little bit, or a day, or you know, for the day, then it was easy to do that. The beach was the most annoying beach I've ever been to in my life, just because of the hecklers. The water was also really rough, so if you're the type of person that likes to get in the water, then the beach where we went, I don't know what it's called, Los Muertos, something like that, which is the most popular beach. To me, it wasn't as swimmable. Smoky. You know how if you have travel anywhere, even in Europe, they smoke, you know, it's more liberal with the smoking, but there it was quite shocking not to be in a restaurant where people were smoking, not to be on a beach where people were smoking. We are not that picky, but you could actually, like, the city bus drivers would just be in the bus smoking. So if you had a long bus ride, or you were adventurous enough to catch the bus and you didn't like smoke, then too bad for you, because they just smoked if they wanted to. Tissue. This was not a super shock for me, but there's still something about this I don't understand. So a lot of countries have old septic systems, so they don't, you know, quite handle toilet tissue the way that we do here in the States. So some places you go, and even in Europe, you can't flush the toilet tissue, which is, to me, I can understand that, fine. I can't flush the toilet paper, fine. But why? What do you do if you're number two? I don't know. I'm not gonna, I mean, I really would like to know, do you flush the toilet paper if you're number two? Because I'm sure a lot of us that are used to good septic systems probably are disrespectful when it comes to that. But if you live in a country like that, what do you guys do with the toilet paper? Do you put it in a trash still? The length of stay, we stayed for a week. I would say the max I would stay, depending on when my flight got in, would be 4 to 5 days. 5 days would be pushing it. We were ready to go home, not because it was a bad place, and not because it wasn't a relaxing or a beautiful place. It's just that it's just one of those places, like, to us, like Vegas, where you only need so many days of it and you're ready to go. The food was fantastic. We never got sick. I had margaritas. I had blended margaritas. I had margaritas on the rocks. We had the street food. We never got sick. Carry-on only. This was our first experience doing carry-on only for such a longer type trip, and it worked out lovely. I bought a Sherpani 21 inch, I think it is, and I think mine is 22 inches. It's 21 or 22 inches, and my husband has a Victorinox that's either 20 or 21 inches. If I had to do it all over again, his is more sturdy than mine. If you want me to do a video comparing our luggage, I can. I would go for the Victorinox. his was, both of ours fit into the overhead bin without any problems, but his just was more sleek and more structured than mine was. So I preferred the look of his, especially once it's packed. The weather was very, very nice. It said it was going to be like 50s to 60s at night, which would have been more cooler, and then 80s during the day. But to me, it was warm the whole time. It was hot in the day, and at night, 50s I would usually be cold, but I was fine. So I don't know, I didn't check the weather while we were there. I don't know if it was warmer than it was presumed to be, but the weather was great. They say don't go between, I think it's like June and September, because it's the rainy season, so it's hot and it's really, really rainy. It's so rainy that the when you are walking, their curbs are really high because the streets just flood with water. So think about that if you're planning a trip. Laundry. If I had to do it all over again, even though we did carry on only, we took entirely too many clothes. If I could do it all over again, I probably would take a dress, because I wore a dress. I wore a pair of jean capris, a pair of black capris, kind of like the J. Crew mini pants, and a pair of black tailored shorts with various different shirts. And that's all I wore. And we were right next to a laundry place, you know, where they just weigh your laundry and they do it in the same day service. So if I had to do it all over again, I would just take a minimal amount of clothes and just take them to the laundry place, because it was so cheap. I think it was like 40 pesos to do all of our laundry. And you know, men's clothes is usually bigger and heavier than women's clothes. So that would be my suggestion for the laundry if you are not staying in a convenient place. I don't know how the laundry is or how much it is, but that's how it was there. Another thing that you need to know, let's say if you don't have if you don't have dental insurance, and let's say you need like a root canal or something, you know, you can plan your trip around stuff like that, because certain medications, certain medical procedures, certain dental procedures are less expensive there. So that could also coincide with saving you money on your trip. Say if a root canal would cost you in the States, what, I don't know, $1,500, and there it will cost you, I don't know, I'm just making stuff up, it costs you $700. Just think about that. And if you try and plan your trip like that, that could save you money and allow you to take vacations when you would otherwise think that you wouldn't be able to afford a vacation. Racism. This is very important. Some people are going to think that it's not, and usually the people that don't think that this is important are people that are not of brown skin. Usually when I go places where people are brown skinned, there is no need, you know, there's not racism. People don't stare at you and gawk at you and act like you don't belong there, or look at you like you're some, I don't know, pet project. So I felt very comfortable there, because there you are amongst brown people. So if that is a worry for you, say if you've been to places in Europe or, you know, stuff like that where people stare, that's just a little tidbit for me, is that we didn't experience any type of racism. Spanish, I don't know very much Spanish. I know I can understand enough to get by. My husband knows very little, and we did fine. Most people speak English. Even when we went to you know, places where they didn't, like when you went to the barber shop, you're able to relay enough usually to where you can understand each other, to where you could get by. So don't let that scare you off from going anywhere. Even when I went to France and Italy and Morocco, anywhere, I don't know any foreign languages, and don't let that scare you. And resort hotels that are a little bit Americanized might not be like this, but if you are in a authentic part of town, I don't know why I'm saying authentic, like people are fake, but if you are in a more rustic part of town, you need to be aware that washcloths are not commonplace all over the world. So if you are used to having a washcloth, make sure you take a washcloth with you. Also, I would recommend you take a microfiber or like a travel towel type washcloth, because they dry quickly. Because when you leave out of your room, you know, they want the lights off, fan off, air condition off, and it didn't make the room uncomfortable. But you know, if you have those big thick plush towels, sometimes they don't dry all the way. Beach towels. I was gonna pack our beach towels, but luckily I checked with the hotel ahead of time, and as long as you made a deposit on the towel, you could rent towels. So if you want to do carry-on only, just think about that, because beach towels take up a lot of room. So if you're going to a tropical place and it's not a resort, ask your hotel if they provide beach towels. Another thing that I found very handy was we took a power strip. We didn't overload it and, you know, try to charge everything all the time, but on the last day when I did need to charge my phone, and my husband did too, and when outlets are limited, we had a power strip, so that came in handy. And you know how we have the 3 prongs, they have the grounded, they have the 2, so I just had to get a grounded adapter to go on the power strip, or if you can find one with only 2, fine. And it worked perfect. Let's see, so I think that's it. I'm just gonna go over some helpful things, and then from there this will be the end of this video. So this was the toiletry bag that I took with me. The nail polish that I wore for the trip was the Laura Mercier Sizzle, and it is a beautiful bright orange color. I had it on my fingers and toes. It wore beautifully. It had more like a gel type finish. It did not, my manicure didn't chip, my pedicure didn't chip. It's a really long lasting nail polish. So I do recommend. That's the first nail polish I ever got from her, and I loved it. As far as perfumes, I took Rollerball perfumes, and they came in really handy. This one was the Trish McEvoy number 9. I think it's rubbed off. I think it's blackberry and vanilla. And then the Jennifer Aniston perfume. And then at night, I still have this Asphalt Flower from MAC. That was a limited edition. Instead of taking mouthwash, I took this Listerine oral care mist, which came in handy for if you want to try and do carry-on only. For my hair, now I will admit my hair got a little bit dry, and it wasn't because of I didn't take anything with me for my hair. It was because it was so hot. So if I had to do it over again, I left my hair straight and then I ended up putting it in a bun. I would probably have done a braid out, which I think would have been more convenient. But the argan oil worked perfectly for my hair, and I've used argan oil only for a while to see if it would work. So that's how I know it wasn't the oil that dried out my hair, it was the climate. So if you're prone to dry hair, just be aware of that. Now for my travel bag, it's probably a little beat up right now. I normally take a Louis Vuitton Neverfull, which is a bit bigger than this bag. This is a Longchamp bag. I think that's how you say it. Now, I don't know what the name of this is. It's kind of just like the ones that have the brown here and here. But the thing that deterred me from buying this bag was that I don't like the brown contrast with the color of the bag. And then I saw this one that had the black on black, and then I just knew I had to have it. I wanted a nondescript bag because sometimes you just have to be aware of places that you're traveling. And I just sometimes, like when I went to Egypt, I didn't think it was appropriate for me to walk around with a whole bunch of Louis Vuitton stuff in a third world country. That might not make you uncomfortable, but for me, I just sometimes like to be cognizant of the places that I stay. And so that is was my bag of choice. It was a little small. The loops, when I first put the loops on my shoulder, they were kind of like the Neverfull. They kind of would slip off and they don't stay on until the straps start to mold with your body. And once they mold with your body, then it's a perfectly comfortable bag. It doesn't fold, I don't think, like the other classic bag. It has only that one pocket, so everything gets lost in an abyss if you don't like have things separated. But other than that, it was a very nice bag. Other things that came in handy, we only have one iPad in our family. I don't know if my husband wants one, so just the splitter was convenient. Like when we were in the airport and we both wanted to watch a movie together, we would just hook our headphones into it and just watch the iPad. And then I also had a set of speakers, which kind of, if you want music in your room and you don't have the iPod dock in your room, this made it handy because you could listen to your iPod or your iPad and, you know, have a little bit more sound. So this was a very good purchase. Sunglasses. I didn't take my YSL sunglasses. I just used the case. I actually just took some, they're dirty now, but some $10 Nordstrom plastic aviators. As far as makeup goes, I used almost everything that I took. My bright lipsticks, my powder. I only used it as a powder. I didn't use it as a foundation. The blush. I used everything. Somebody wanted me to talk about my concealer palette. And now that I have used it, I would have to say it is not my favorite. They do okay, and it's very convenient to have you know, all different colors handy at once. This is Makeup Forever, by the way, but I can't recommend it. I think that if you have really dark circles like I do, it doesn't give enough coverage. And none of the colors, I mean, you know, you can mix and match, but I'm low maintenance. I don't want to mix two colors together on vacation. Maybe at home when I have more time, fine. But if I'm just going to the beach and I want to throw on concealer, I just want to have the right colors. So this wasn't, I don't know, it's just not a good product. I can't recommend it. The coverage is light. If you're used to using the MAC, what is it? If you're used to using like the Studio Finish Concealer by MAC, this gives you more of a full coverage. This is more of a light to medium coverage. So it just depends on what you need to cover up and how dark things are. The last thing that I want to talk to you guys about before I go, I know this is a long series, is shoes. I was going to take my Chanel flats, and I'm so glad I didn't take the Chanel flats, because even though the roads are cobblestone, they're uneven, they're rough, you need a shoe that's comfortable, and you don't want to take your fanciest flats if you want, even though you're just going to be walking around. So I ended up leaving those. I traveled through the airport in just some regular black Chuck Taylors, which I take on every trip with me because they look good no matter what city you're in. Chuck Taylors are in style. And I also took some Tevas and Columbias. My husband was laughing at me so bad, and he was so resistant to getting these, and I was resistant myself. But I would tell you that we walked for hours and hours, and those were the only shoes that we wore. They worked on the beach, they worked on the boat, they worked walking around. We never got sore feet. As a matter of fact, my husband, when we left to go there, he had on some black slip-on boots, leather boots. I forgot the brand. But when we came back, he wanted to wear his Tevas. That's how good they are. So if you don't mind looking, they don't look bad. I'm going to have pictures on my blog. But if you don't mind looking more laid back, then I would definitely recommend that you get some of those sporty type shoes. And lastly, just so I can talk to you about dress, it's a beach town. People did not dress up very much from what I could see. Sometimes I felt like I was a little bit dressy. I would say capris, either depending on what time of year you go. Of course, I took capris. I already told you, like t-shirts. I never wore a tank top. Dresses, I wore a dress one day. I think I was one of the few people that wore like a maxi dress. It's just a really laid back place. So don't think that you have to bring your best clothes. If you think you're gonna go out one day, or if you staying at a resort and you're gonna eat somewhere fancy, maybe you need to bring one. But otherwise, just plan on it being a more beach destination where everything is laid back. I did not see a lot of people wearing shorts, however. I wore shorts one day and they were tailored shorts. I don't remember seeing people just blatantly wearing shorts. The only other time I saw somebody wearing a pair of shorts was it was an American also, and her shorts were very ill-fitting. So if you do want to wear shorts, I would make sure you wear like the nicer type shorts, but I didn't see a lot of people wearing shorts. Maybe on the beach. But as far as the shoes, now of course they're worn, so I don't want to. Anyway, these are the ones that my husband had, and he liked them. They were comfortable. They're not the cutest things. He didn't want his toes open. He's one of them guys that thinks that sandals on guys are a little not cute. So, and then mine are still in the little plasticky bag because I didn't want them to contaminate my other clothes. And I had Columbia's, which I loved equally as well. These are actually male shoes. I think I'm normally a size 9, and these are a men's size 7, and love them, love them. I would never have thought that I would ever add any shoes like this into my arsenal, but they're there and I love them, and I don't know. And the reason why I bought them is because I was planning, like, for future reference, if we wanted to do more rustic trips, then we would probably want more, you know, shoes like that. So if I was gonna buy some shoes, I'm not gonna buy some $2 flip-flops. I'm gonna buy something that's gonna last us a couple of trips and be more versatile. So like I said, if you have any questions from all of my rambling, just let me know. Otherwise, I think I have talked. Oh, one more thing. We also took some Super Goop sunscreen wipes just to try them out and see if we like the convenience of the wipes. They are convenient, especially when we had to reapply sunscreen. However, the wipes are very small, and you need like at least 4 to cover your average size body, and you might need more. And so if you have somebody that's like bigger than average, then you can almost use your whole pack, because I think the regular pack is a pack of 40. So I would just recommend just bringing along this kind of sunscreen. Maybe if you have babies, the wipes will come in, you know, convenient, because you could just wipe them down and not have to worry about the you could just wipe them down. But the Super Goop did, when it got in my eyes, it did burn my eyes. It didn't burn my husband's eyes, but it did burn. The Super Goop did burn my eyes. So if you are sensitive to sunscreen burning your eyes, then you may want to just be aware of that. I've never had a problem with Neutrogena, so I will probably stick to that. And for real, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.